We are so excited and so thrilled to have a super special guest, Jennifer Pastiloff. This month, we're talking about how to reclaim our self-worth, build confidence, and learn to love ourselves from the inside out. And we're joined by someone who lives this truth louder than most. Author, speaker, and unapologetic truth teller Jennifer Pastiloff joins us for a conversation that is raw, real, and radically human. Together, we talk about what it means to live out loud, to face your fears, soften your inner critic, and show up as your full, messy, beautiful self. Jen's new book, Proof of Life, is out now, and this episode feels like a companion to every soul who's ever questioned their worth or struggled to be seen. Don't miss this powerful episode of Life Happens, because sometimes the most radical thing we can do is be ourselves. Hi, everyone. We are so excited and so thrilled to have a super special guest on the show this week, one that we've been just absolutely chomping at the bit to have her come on and talk with us and talk to you all about life, letting love in, and living out loud with our beautiful friend, Jennifer Pastiloff. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Yeah, the living out loud part. I mean, when you're deaf like me, you have to live out loud.
I love that. Well, I know that we're going to get into this in so many different ways in this conversation, but even just you saying just now, like living out loud and being so unapologetic about it, it's like giving us all permission to just be who we are. And
Also,
just,
I have found, and I'm older than you, so you could be my little sister. If I don't have a sense of humor, I won't get out of bed. I
same.
already deal with depression, and then add deafness to it. I ain't getting out of that bed if I don't find a way to laugh and
I'm
not
with
take
you.
myself so seriously, which, by the way, does not happen. There's some days I fail. I stay there. But if I don't have a sense of humor, I mean, I really, it saves my life. That, like, obviously breath. I mean, I'm not sure which is more important, fine breath, but sense of humor. So, everything.
We must be sisters, because I'm the same way. Humor has been a life raft for me, especially these past few years. So I'm with you on that for sure.
Anyone that's really been into breath work, spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, all the things, one of the key foundations of all of those great masters and teachers is humor. The
Really,
Buddha, the Buddha, Dalai Lama, all of them, they're very, very, very laughing, roly
true,
kind of.
right? They're like,
Yeah, they're always being adding humor to it. We can't take ourselves so seriously.
well, that's what I was about to say. Is like I am, in the book, little plug.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, proof of
Proof
life.
of life.
In the book, I talk a lot about, I call it taking the piss out of myself. You know, I really think it's important to not take ourselves too seriously, and that's the thing with all those, wise spiritual leaders. They didn't take themselves. I mean, I think I wasn't like, having dinner with them and hanging out, but they didn't take themselves too seriously, and I noticed that any kind of spiritual practice, if I want to call it, that I'm attempting, if I get precious about it or take myself too seriously, I don't do it. I roll
So
my eyes,
true.
like I'm rolling my eyes at myself, but I have to have a level of levity, or the way I think of it is like, oh, I don't sell what I don't buy what I'm selling, you know?
You're not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Nope, not just because, like, I immediately disconnect or tune out when something becomes like overly, like, I'm so self-important and precious, and that's why I love, with my book Anne Lamont, which I still can't believe
Oh,
I loved it. And
love
on the
her.
cover, she mentions, and that sense of humor, and it's like a gift from the literary gods, because it is a self-help book, but it right away tells the reader, you're safe with me because it's not so precious, and so there's humor in it, which is what we need if we're doing quote unquote self-help, I think.
I love that so much, because I do think that that can often be missed in this field, where it is a
Uh-huh.
little too precious. I love that you said that or used that word, and too serious and too important. And yeah, you need the levity and the humor and the lightheartedness for sure.
I mean, that's why I'm putting on lipstick now, because I like, this is like a mirror.
It really
Really
is.
calm. It's
You
lip
know,
balm. Pretend.
I also want to say one more thing about you, Jen, that I really love so
Say
much.
so many things. Say so many things.
You started off by saying living out loud literally because of your deafness. But what's
Well, I don't
unique
know if
about
that's why. I just like to actually add that
I
in my
love it.
song because it's
But
getting.
what's unique about you? What is really unique about you in knowing you and just really following you is you're living out loud from the inside out.
Oh,
And I think that's the key. For me, it's been too much living out loud from the outside in. We need to live from the inside out. And I think that out loud is the authenticity
wow.
that I feel like this conversation is going to really bring out because I think we thrive on that, but we're also really seeking it.
That just hit me though. It's funny how, like, I don't know if you've heard me talk about it. It's been this summer will be 3 years. I couldn't cry like since I was 8 when my dad died. And all of a sudden 3 summers ago I was like, it's like you're constipated, and I have those kind of issues, and it's but emotionally, and so now it still feels foreign in a way, and but I love it. But that just caught me when you said that. It was so beautiful, and I've never heard it said that before. And you said from the inside out, and I guess I felt really seen. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things I think is probably one of the most important things about the work that I do is how do we actually, have that balance of inside out. And when we're talking about the masters that are humorous and not taking themselves so seriously, we got to take the life that we want to live, all the ideals and goals and the dreams that we have for our lives seriously. We have to know what actions to take and what path we want to be on and how we're going to get there without making ourselves making ourselves in a way where we can walk the path in a way that honors us and puts ourselves first, but then also not harming humanity in any other way. And this is how I think all the time. And I think that's what those great teachers were trying to tell us. You have to take your life seriously, but you
I
can't
mean,
take
yes,
yourself you can't take yourself seriously.
do no harm, but take
Yes.
your shit,
Well,
Barb.
because the,
Yep,
the ego gets
100%.
involved when you take yourself too seriously. And I think that's the little slippery slope sometimes that we can get
Right.
on, being in recovery for 40 years. You have to always be checking yourself.
I have to
Am
tell
I?
you, I have to tell you guys a funny thing that I was telling the story the other night because I forgot about it. But so I am now 6.5 months sober, which is still really weird.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, it's
Congratulations.
still weird, and I'm honest about this too because, like the other day we're at the Ojai Valley Inn, and the guy, I was like, I'll get a lavender lemonade. Now, I never turned down alcohol, and I was very covert, like I had to be. My friend pointed out because I've been vigilant my whole life, because no one, I never presented as drunk, and if I did. Let me tell you how much alcohol had been in me, right? My friend said, oh, it's because you've been vigilant your whole life, so vigilant that even when I drink, no one ever clocked it. Do you know what I mean?
For
Anyway,
sure.
so the guy's like, "Do you want vodka in your lavender lemonade?" I said, "Oh, I do." Dude. So I'm not gonna like fib and be like, "Well, no, I never won." If like, yeah, I do
Yeah.
still, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's new.
That's a whole conversation. I love that you shared that. I don't know where we're going with this
I'm
conversation, but
hearing
I'm
it.
loving it.
By the way, it's falling out of my ear. Just fixing it. Oh,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
was going to say that's a whole thing because I say it all the time. I'm in recovery for bulimia. And when I say to people, of course I'll look in the mirror sometimes and say, oh my goodness, Barb, you're fat today. And then I say, well, wait a minute, that's not true. But it's not like sometimes those things go. I feel like those thoughts, yes, they get mitigated and I can name them as not
I
being
mean, I
true. But the thought is going to come sometimes because that's part
Barb,
of the
Barb,
disease.
that is why I think it's such bullshit. It's like New Year's resolutions, but in the book I call it daily practices. And then I was like, stop lying, daily-ish. Because
Yeah,
I never I'm the worst, right? So
I love
daily-ish,
it.
but because during COVID I got like crazy depressed. And what happened was I realized my work, which who can define it, keeps me in alignment with being who I say I am. My
Definitely.
guess is you both are the same. During
Yep.
COVID, nothing. I wasn't doing anything. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, I don't recognize myself. And then I was like, oh, I had no practices to keep me in alignment, right? And so I was like, oh, daily-ish practices because let's say shame, whatever it is, over something or like my eating disorder, which raised its ugly head a couple years ago when I left my marriage. it's like you can do all this work, and then one day, and then you wake up and like an old ex-boyfriend that you swore you'd never again, it's in bed with you again.
Yep.
And if you're human, most likely that's happened. That is why it's like, yes, I'm in recovery, not I'm recovered.
Right.
No, there's never an ED. But you also, that's why it's so important to have a daily practice. For me, it's been crucial to have a daily practice so that I'm constantly able to recognize the mind telling me a falsehood and I don't go down the path and believe it. So you're right.
Well,
It's not like that mind is
I
ever going
can't,
to be
I can't wait to read the book.
cured.
I'm
I
so
can't wait to get the
excited.
book. I am so
Because
excited.
I agree with you. It's about, and so the daily practice, and do you know what it is for all of us?
Tell us.
TSOWW. Welcome to the School of Whatever Works. So, barring that you're not intentionally hurting yourself or anyone else, whatever works.
I love
Whatever
that.
works. And I think that is so important because, you know, for you, for Michelle, for me, it's going to be different. And like, I discovered art a few years ago. That's my medicine. And some days it's, you know, and we find whatever works. Like I start with this daily, I call it a prayer, you know, and it begins with the words, may I remember, and it has to have levity in it. But it's whatever works to keep us in alignment. And no one else can tell us. And some days it changes. And every day we're discovering what works, what doesn't. And then it's like, sticking with it to the best, you know, of our ability. And if we don't, let ourselves off the hook and begin again.
As we talked before we hit record, we all come from the self-help world and the yoga realm and the meditation realm, and there's a lot of rigidity there. And I think there's so many rules in the history of it all where if you don't do it this specific way or meditate for this specific
Well,
amount of
that's what I was
time.
gonna. That's how I segued into being sober. So that's a new thing. So for many years, no, you know, like all my adult life, and so which I could talk about without shame now since I'm not drinking. You know how, at least for me, when you talk about something, it's always easier when it's in hindsight.
For sure.
Do you know? So it's I can be like say all the shitty things I did because I'm not doing. Anyway, so this was years ago. I was leading a retreat in Italy, and this woman, I didn't know her before, which nowadays I really have an application process, which basically is just why do you feel called to come, and that only that question is enough because it, you know. Anyway, so this woman, you know, I asked her if she wanted some wine. There's always wine in Italy, which has me already preemptively grieving for September. But anyway,
I can relate to that.
it's
I
really
stopped
weird.
drinking 5 years ago.
You did?
Yes, but when I stopped drinking, sorry not to interrupt you, in the back of my mind it was like, well, what's going to happen when I go to Italy again? Italy is the wine place.
And it's so silly, but
Yeah.
it's I mean it's such a big part of my retreat. This beautiful man named Pietro comes, and you know, and I'll go to it's like a show and not drink. But so this woman, you know, I didn't know her, and I said, "Do you want some wine?" And she looked at me horrified, and like I swear she got a British accent all of a sudden, but not really. But she goes, oh, "No, I'm a real yogi." And I mean, I didn't miss a
Oh,
beat. I just go, more for me then. And I walked away. But I was like, no. But I'll never forget it because I'm a real yogi. And that's exact, like, I mean, you can't make it up. It's like a skit. And I mean, that, you know, punch me in the nose if it's ever like, I'm a real, you know, spiritual master because I
yep,
do this it's just so that's someone, you know, that's taking yourself too seriously. So
exactly.
I'm a real yogi. Well, guess what? I was like, so am I. And I curse, I take antidepressants, I drink wine. I mean,
100%. That's like you said, the whatever works for you.
totally. And now I curse, I take antidepressants, but I don't drink wine.
And it still is valid.
Oh yeah, and I also don't teach yoga really much anymore. But anyway,
I love it. So can you talk a bit because you're so honest and open and vulnerable and real. What was that journey to get to this place? Have you always felt that you could be this way, or did you have younger years of shame or fear and doubts? And what was that
oh,
journey
wait a
like
minute,
for you?
Michelle. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still filled with fear and doubt, my love. My adorable younger sister. I don't know who you think you're talking to. It's just I do it anyway, and it's like it's just, it vacillates. Some days today I woke up feeling great. Praise the Lord, a coffee. Yesterday I was like, everyone hates me, and like looking for evidence for that, but and things are different.
I relate to that so much. Just, I like, you can wake up one day and be like, life is so good. Everything's working out. And then the next day, wow,
Yeah,
everyone does hate me. This isn't
yeah,
going to go
and you can
well.
find evidence. You find evidence,
And
whatever
when
you're
you
looking
said I look for evidence,
for.
that is how my brain works as well, where if I
It's
get that thought in
everybody's.
my mind, I'm going to
It's
look for
everybody's.
all of the ways.
I love also, like, I love reminding myself, like, get over yourself. You're not that special. Like, we are, but we're not. Because I'm like saying, it's everybody's. It's like, I do this thing. It's like, everyone does that. And that's why it's important. It's so imperative to one of the things to be mindful of, I think, is what evidence am I looking for? Because so often we don't even realize. So, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm literally looking around for evidence of, it's not like, no one's going to buy the book. I suck. People don't like me. I don't even realize it. And that's, there's so many layers to it, but what evidence are you looking for? And that's why beauty hunting, the thing I sent you, is so important,
Yes.
because it trains us to constantly be looking for the beauty. Or
Talk about that, the
I will,
practice of
I
beauty
will.
haunting.
But to answer your question, I think, I heard my friend Karen Carbo say this once, and I got the chills. And she said it was something, Karen, if I'm butchering it, but something like, your greatest wound can become your greatest engine.
I love it.
I know, and I
So
started
true.
crying. It was about her mother died, I believe, when she was in college, and now I'm like getting all the facts wrong, but I'm getting them well enough. Karen, she's got an amazing. She picked up, her and her adult husband and moved to like a little village in France from Oregon.
That's the
That dream
dream.
we all want to do, and she did it. So my dad dropped dead when I was 8, and he was my person, and I was born 40. I was just really wise. I still am. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I mean, the other day I was painting with gorilla glue and my hands and paint, and literally for like a week, and people were like, you're gonna have to go on the red carpet like that. And so I was always wise, and my parents treated me that way. And, I thought it was my fault my dad died, because he said, you're being bad and making me not feel good. Because I flushed his cigarettes down the toilet. My dad smoked 4 packs a day. Like, he was, woo-hoo. I flushed him down the toilet, and he said, you're being bad and making me not feel good. I said, I hate you. And that was that. So,
Oh my gosh.
so as you can imagine, well, I didn't cry. I mean, I wanted to die. I said, I don't care. And I locked my jaw. And that's what I was saying about vulnerability thing. I could not be vulnerable, which is, it's so, the cobbler shoes, never as shoes kind of thing. It's so classic, because I have built a career, like, at this stage of my life, on essentially allowing people, creating these spaces where people fall in love with each other, not sexually or romantically, but as humans, and they're vulnerable, and I can hold space like nobody's business. But as far as me, no way, because hardness was how I survived. At least I believed it was, and it was for a while. But I grew up with a single mom. My mom was only 34, and no boundaries. I still struggle with that, because I'm like, what's that word mean? But a lot of it I came in with this inherent way of being, in terms of, and I've always been deeply intuitive. Always been filled with a ton of fear, and I won't lie. I mean, it's a daily practice for me to not expect to be disappointed. So now I really work to expect to be delighted, which, for someone who has spent their entire life from 8, and it makes sense, because we're not ever done, but we're not done forming when we're 8, and that happened. And so that's my baseline, right? But really, I was going to be a poet. I was a scholar. I was at NYU. I really thought I was going to have a different life. I'm talking I thought I was going to live in Iowa and be a poetry professor, and, I had a year left, and I went to be with Barb, my mom, Barb, in California from NYU to take a semester off. And that semester off is still going on. So
I
I'm
love
an
it.
accidental college dropout. I got a summer job at a restaurant that lasted 14 years. And I was so depressed. I just like wanted to die. I had a raging eating disorder that I never worked on, but I like gained weight back. So externally, okay, but never, so to make a long story short, I started doing yoga, and that started really helping with my depression. I would not go on antidepressants for whatever reason, and I finally did. And I saw a pinprick of light. And it sounds so corny, but it's true in the sense that I was like, because my friends all kept saying, you should become a yoga teacher. And I said, I'd rather eat glass. I just didn't want it. And but then I took the antidepressants, and it was literally 2 weeks. But all of a sudden, this is how I know something shifted. Because I was like, maybe I will do a yoga teacher training. Maybe it'll be maybe it'll be an escape route out of here, because I saw no possibility. I was like, I'm gonna die at this restaurant, and I became a yoga teacher, and then I started getting back to my writing, and I started mixing them, and the more I started to tell the truth about myself, like, I struggle with depression. I'm on antidepressants. This was a long time ago. People were not as
Yeah.
I was like a pioneer. I was like, you have no idea. I would like want to barf after I shared something, and it wasn't for shock value. I would like, you know, or I talk about grief, anorexia, and what I found was this wild thing happened. People started coming to me in droves, thanking me and like wanting, where can you know? And I was like, oh wait, all I have to do is like be myself. Whoa, and I started realizing that the gift, all the things that I was hiding were the things that were the most fallen lovable about me.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, that's a sign pick.
And then it just became a practice. And then and some of it just comes with age. I mean, I used to think that, oh, the older you get, you naturally become more wise. And I don't actually, I've met a lot of people that isn't the case, like they're still dealing with the same stuff they were when they were teenagers, but a lot of it comes with also being years on the planet, that notorious sort of like, you got less F's to give.
Yeah.
But I just, I found that the greatest gift is, it sounds so cliche, but it's being myself. And it's like the greatest practical joke that's not a joke. It's like, oh my God. And granted, I have a weird career where I get to be like, wow, I'm really depressed today. And people, where if you're like a brain surgeon or something, you don't come into work and have that, I don't think, announced to your coworkers. But so I don't take that for granted. But I think, us being ourselves really is and it's the thing so many of us hide.
I love that that we hide it, and that is the thing that draws people to us oftentimes.
It is, and it's not about other people. It's not like, well, how do I get people to draw to me? It's a side
Right.
effect. It's
Exactly.
like it's a bonus.
Yeah. We crave
So powerful.
authenticity. It is really powerful. This leads me really beautifully to, you talk a lot about the inner bully. The inner
Oh yeah, I
bully,
know.
and talk about that a little bit, the inner bully, and how you navigate that, and how it's really a beautiful story that is, I think, everyone's story. We have the mind that is our inner bully, and how do we actually start listening more and reclaiming, as you talk about the worth, and tuning into the really kinder, truer. I think that's the key for me. I thought the voice in the mind that was a bully and was negative and unkind, and you're not worth it, and you're not worth anything, and people aren't going to like you. You have to like all of them, so maybe they'll like you, and all of those things that I heard so long ago. How do you actually turn, turn your inner knowing and turn your inner voice into listening to that, saying that's not true. It's the kinder inner voice that's saying, Barb, you have everything you need right here. Just start being who you are.
Well,
which is what you just said.
again, I'll die on this hill. The school of whatever works. It is. There's nothing I can say, well, well, for Jen, da da da, and also not everything works all the time, but it's the school of whatever works, and I think that is so important. And again, like as long as you're not intentionally hurting yourself or anyone else. So, um, one thing, of course, I have a trucker mouth, so I call it the inner asshole. And
I
and
love
the
it.
reason, part of the reason I do that too is the levity thing, because I'm saying it lovingly. It's like um, it's like an endearing sort of like it makes me laugh, right? And so anything that makes me laugh is a good thing. I mean, as long as I'm not laughing at someone, but I think there's a lot of ways. So one of the thing I call it the body prayer. And the reason I call it the body prayer is because it is generated from your own body rather than say the Bible or tarot cards or anything. Those are all wonderful, but this is a prayer that's generated from your body. And there's many ways to come up with it. One is, close your eyes or not. You do you. I read lips, so closing my eyes when people are talking is a panic attack. But you put your hands. So right now, let's do it. Okay. So close your eyes if you can still hear me, and I'd like you to place your hands on a part of your body you feel called to place your hands on, or maybe it's somewhere you feel self-conscious of, or somewhere you've been talking shit to, or somewhere that hurts. Maybe you've been clenching your jaw, or maybe your heart's broken, or if you're in your head, maybe your hands are in your head. Okay, beautiful. Now, here's a mantra. I want you to repeat this. You could say it out loud or just whisper or move your lips to it. But do move your lips because it's very easy to not commit. I want you to this is the mantra. I love you. I'm listening. Just again and again. I love you. I'm listening. 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 And just keep speaking to that as if your hands are speaking to that, and then what's trying to come through. However long you want to sit in this meditation with that chant, and then when you're ready, you open your eyes and you write, without lifting the pen or pencil up, or and I like the act of writing with the hand as if that body part were speaking. What would it say? And there's no, ooh, that's negative. I don't even like those terms. You just dump it. It's like a word vomit. You just write it out. Because what you find is, so Michelle, your hands were where? On your heart?
Heart.
So even just speaking it right now, like what would your heart, if your heart could speak right in this moment, what would it say? Anything that's coming through.
It was saying it's safe to be here.
I love that. Barb,
And I just felt too when you were saying that and I was mouthing along, I love you, I'm listening, just like a softening of
that's
everything.
it. That's it. I have a whole thing in my book called A Prayer for Softness, and everyone has to come up with their own.
I love it.
Because even Barb, the bulimia thing, it's like all the ways we're hard on ourselves and with ourselves, and that's a hardness. So what's the softer choice, right? So I love that. Barb, you had your hands on your heart too, right? And so like right now in this moment, and again, no judgment, and even if it's like, sometimes it surprises us. It's like, what? But whatever it is, what came through, what would it say right now?
Yeah, it was said, be still, all is well.
Oh, I love it.
There's a little part of me this morning that woke up like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that,
Right.
oh my goodness, and it's always my heart's always saying, Barb, just be still and know all is well right now, and it does calm down.
This is one way to come up with the prayer, and in fact, as a homework, let's all,
Yay.
if you're willing, let's all commit to start our day with this tomorrow morning. We'll check in, and I like to do this before email, work. I always say you can poop if you're lucky enough. You can have your coffee, but try before the world starts to tell you who you are. And some people are like, I have to read it, but the funny thing is, what it is, but I usually have people write it out. So it could be just be one, it could be whatever you want. But I always start mine with the words, may I remember. And I love that because I believe whatever I put into my prayer is what I know, but I've forgotten, even if I knew it
Oh,
in the
definitely.
womb. So my prayer always starts with, may I remember to breathe. Why? Because I hold my damn breath all the time. I catch myself, right? And I put levity in mine. Like, oh, TMI. You know what that means, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Nah, but this means today may I. So
Uh,
today may I not take myself. Today may I not take myself too seriously. May I remember to breathe. So all these, all these things I want to remember. How do I want to feel today? Who do I want to be? I get to
you know,
decide,
I
right?
love this so much. I love this so much because I agree. Before you hit the outside world, do the inner things. And when I got out of treatment 40 years ago for bulimia,
When you went what into a treatment, you said?
in a treatment center for bulimia 40 years ago, one of the things we learned 12-step program, but one of the things I learned to do in my writing or even in the not necessarily only the writing, but you're right, even in the saying it to myself,
Right, right.
just for today, may I may I remember because we only have right this
And it
moment and it's
sounds
helped
like
me.
such a cliche, but it's
No,
true.
it's true, especially if you're someone like me who was and still I'm recovering from this feeling that oh my gosh, I've
I
got to
would
go, I've got
argue,
to do
Barb, it's for
something.
everyone in the world because, again, and you think I would have this ingrained in me, and I still get so overwhelmed with the thing instead of like the book. Okay, just you think that having your dad drop dead, that you'd know ain't nothing's guaranteed. And it's not about living in fear. It's not, although I do that sometimes. It's about you just don't know. The
Yep.
you just don't know-ness of it all. So it's the arrogance of us even like you know all we have is right now, and it even like the cliche, my butthole clenches, because things get so
Oh.
said,
But it's
but
true. It's a
you
cliche because
just
it's
don't
true.
know.
Share your dad's story that changed our lives in 2007 because you are so right, Jen. It is the most, for me, it's been probably one of the top 5 quintessential changes in my life ever because what you're saying is the most powerful thing that we could actually get from the heart. But share your story of your dad.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's just very similar to you, Jen.
Yeah.
I was 21, going back to my last year of college, and my dad went to sleep and didn't wake up. And,
What was the
he
last? Do you remember the last thing you said to him?
um, he had had some health issues, so I was worried about him. And I had asked him, like, if he my mom and I were getting ready to go on a mother-daughter trip before I went back to school that day. And I asked him, if he wanted me to stay home, if he felt like we shouldn't go. And he said, no, you should go. I'm good. You'll have a great time.
Oh, so you went with her, Barb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no one was with him when, like, no.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
But it's true. Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really started living by this thing of don't wait. Meaning, like, I got real clear on all the bullshit, social, I don't care any of it. Now, I'll play along because I have a book and I know, I want it in people's hands, and I do. I'm so proud. But, like, I want to see you guys. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not like, yeah, let's do it. So it's like, don't wait. And I have been embodying that for, you'd think, since I was 8, but a few years back, my friend took her life, and oh my gosh, Ella Wilson, the most insanely gifted writer I think I've ever come across, and she is amazing. My hearing aid is just hanging out of my ear. She took her life, and I regret I left early. We had an Airbnb together because COVID had just hit, and I didn't know, and I of course, if I would have known, that was my last time with her. But she left behind 2 girls and her beautiful husband, who I never met. We became friends after her death. Was their caretaker, and he was amazing, and like Michael, just like the most amazing guy. And then like last year, they live in Brooklyn. They were in Florida, and he died in a freak riptide accident, and he
Oh,
left the girls
no.
orphans, and it did such a number on me. I literally, I I still can barely speak when I think about it because it is such a freak, stupid fucking thing and so unfair, of course. And so, wow. And in like a riptide in Florida. I mean, I'm from California, you know, I'm like, they even have waves? What? Um, and so that really kicked into gear the like, oh, we want to see each other, let's do it. Because nothing is guaranteed. And when I start to forget that, I have to find ways, the school of whatever works, to come back, not based in fear, but to come back to the preciousness, and not the eye rolly preciousness, but the preciousness of this.
Yeah, and I think too, Jen, what I hear so much and what has happened for me since that happened too is, yes, see the people you want to see and do the things. And yes, riptides are a real thing in Florida. I have a friend who died in a riptide, 40 years old, a couple years ago.
I
Do
mean, I'm
those
a
things,
Jew
but
from
also,
Jersey, and I don't know Florida. I feel like I'm
yeah, no,
an anomaly.
they're a real thing. But also be who. I think what this for me, what I can't wait to read your book, because for me, what I'm really looking forward to reading is how this is going to help people be exactly who you are, because you're going to be on your deathbed one day. And my friend, it was a hospice nurse volunteer. Her best friend was a hospice nurse. She was a volunteer with her best friend. She told me every day, Barb, the biggest thing I hear when I'm volunteering in hospice is from people that they didn't live the life that they wanted to live. So this more of the story of all of this, we never know, tomorrow's not promised, is yes, go see and go say all the loving things to the people that matter most to you in your life. But don't forget yourself. Live the life. You know, I just got
Barb, I
divorced after
cannot wait for
33
you to read my
years.
book because you keep giving quotes out of it. Stop plagiarizing me. Like,
Well, you know,
no, 'cause one of the things I talk about, you know, is don't forget yourself.
you
But
can't.
like,
I've been saying it for 40 years since I got out of treatment, because I never remembered myself because I
me
didn't think that
neither.
I mattered.
Me
And
neither.
so I think that's the key. We do matter and we have to put ourselves first, but that doesn't mean the ego's putting ourselves first. It
Listen,
means we're putting ourselves first so that we can be of
this whole
service
book
and
is
love and
around
care.
choosing yourself, and that is not, you know, and especially for women, it's like ugh, you can't do that. Um, and it's not about being selfish, although being selfish is a bad rap. But it's like,
Well, I learned in treatment, selfish selfish means without self. So we're going to live without ourselves. How about, it's like, and so selfish, and people say, oh, selfless service. And so I bought all that. And yes, you want to do selfless service in that giving of your heart, but not without yourself. You can't do it without the self.
100%, 100%.
So we've misinterpreted words, I think, in our language that have really done a great disservice
Well,
for
and I
us.
and again, it's by so many things are by design, you know, with patriarchy and capitalism and all that, and um, you know, keep especially with women keeps us in our place. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then one more thing about the body prayer. So it can the things that you both said like from your heart. So what I would do, not that you're asking, this is my unsolicited advice for the body prayer, but I love the may I remember. Also, it feels literary. I love repetition, so I repeat it a lot. You don't have to, but may I remember. And, you know, sometimes like the way we talk to ourselves, even if it's like, be present, I'm like, you be present, mother effer. There's like a bossiness. That's why I like the softness of like, may I, dot, dot, dot. May I
I love
remember?
that.
It feels softer as opposed to someone bossing me around, even if it's my own self. So levity is important. And then like, so for example, like Michelle, you know, may I remember I am safe. May is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the may I remember, right? And then Barb, um, you know, like it sounded like what I was hearing is like almost like you woke with a little bit of anxiety of like, oh, all that has to be done, and like a slight, you know, panic, or maybe I didn't hear it accurately when you said you woke up this morning. Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, thinking about all the things I had to do, and that idea, just be still and know you got
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
There's nothing that you can't do in the moment. It's always when I'm thinking about the future instead of staying present. And so that be still brings me back to the moment.
And so I know you understand this as, someone who struggled with an eating disorder. I everything I do now is about being in the body. I'm an expert at it. I'm a master. You want to know why? Because most of my life I wasn't in my body.
Exactly.
And I have gotten
Exactly.
found every way. And so, one thing I do, like especially eating disorder stuff, and with yoga, my mantras, I like mantras. I say, and my friend Lydia Yuknovich came up with this because I don't like negative and positive. They feel binary, but what
Yep.
opens me up rather than shuts me down. And so I like simple ones. Like I every morning, my big thing is feeling safe because my dad dropped dead, right? So I'm safe. But I also go, I am in my body. I'm here. And I also say to myself, come back, come back, come back. I'm here. I'm in my body. I'm safe.
I
And
love that.
they're not like super like, they're just like, right, so
It's real.
or like, may I remember it is safe to be in my body, like for you, Barb, right? Or I am here. And then um and then the other thing is like, today may I, but I like the words, of it is safe for me too, especially things that, so it didn't, I have to say it is safe for me to feel my feelings. I never let myself, so I start to panic when I cry or feel things. I start to, or it is safe for me, it is safe for me to have financial freedom. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in, and so your body will tell you. And then there's also things that come up that we just know. Like, for example, part of my prayers today, may I remember not to compare myself to other authors and find ways to remind myself that I suck. Today, may I allow pleasure. But it's, all the things that we want to remember, how I want to be. That's one way to quiet the inner asshole. And I just love the idea of calling it a prayer or an invocation. But listen up. There's two parts to this, and it dawned on me. We can have the best intentions, or like, today may I not be an asshole, especially to myself. Today may I be a human, thank you. And then for whatever reason you're grumpy, and you go to the bank, and you're a brat to the teller. You're a little like, not your, and you're lying in bed at the end of the night, and you're like, oh, that was a fail. Everything I said in the morning. So then what? Do we quit and we're like, well, I suck? We use that as a, no. We let ourselves off the hook and begin again. So I like to have something called Let Yourself Off the Hook book, and you just dump in it. It's like a dumping ground before bed, because we marinate in what we think about before bed, and then it's like clean slate, and then we begin again.
I
Because
love that.
as long as we could take a breath, we can always begin again.
Yep.
I love that so
So
much.
that's
And it's
one
so
way
true.
to quiet. That's just one way, one of the many ways to quiet the inner asshole. But another thing I want to bring up about quieting the inner asshole is, who are you surrounding yourself with? I surround myself with people I want to be like. I did not say I want to be, because that's weird. And I get that on my Instagram sometimes, and it freaks me out. I want your life, but I want to be like, or people who really see you, right? And I'm talking not just, in real life, but online. If you are you constantly seeking out things that make you feel bad, so there's all different ways, and you just keep collecting them and putting them in your tool belt.
I love that. And I love that too, especially because, like talked about at the start of the conversation, many of us look for the opposite, look for all the reasons why we're bad or not good enough. But now we can start to look for the people that make us feel good, or the practices or the
Yes,
prayers.
yes.
And it's like making that the practice of, just like you said, beauty hunting.
I mean, so yesterday, you guys are gonna need to laugh at this. So I had a podcast with this amazing woman named Chris Carr, and I texted
Oh,
her
I
the day
love her.
before. I was like, "Are we still on?" She's like, "Oh my god, I forgot to tell you. Um, I'm on hiatus till August." And I was like, and I really wanted to talk to her, so I was bummed. But then my son had a field trip. They're going to visit a senior. Well, Barb saw the video, but a senior assisted living home, and I was like, oh, I could. They needed chaperones, so at the last minute, I emailed the teacher the night before, last night or 2 nights ago. She says, yeah, come. And I knew they were walking there, and they needed chaperones, and I thought it was across the street from the school. I roll out of bed. I show up late in high heels, in my platform shoes, like I do. And it's a 45-minute hike through a meadow, and we live in Ojai. And I'm like, oh my God. It's so on brand, you cannot make it up. Luckily, this woman was like, I have a pair of Converse in my backpack that were my size, so I wore her sneakers. And but the kids, so we were walking and there was poop, and I was like, don't step in it. And we were in a line. I said, so if you see poop, go poop alert and pass it down, and then do the same thing with beauty. And everywhere they go, beauty alert, beauty alert, beauty alert. So this one little boy I was walking with, and I happened to be recording, and I had gone into the class in April for Poetry Month to teach them poetry and about beauty hunting and kindness and compassion and invisible disabilities like my deafness. And so this boy was like, he's very smart. He's like, he's in third grade. Ever since you came to class, I find myself searching for beauty in myself, in my parents, in my friends, like Charlie, my son. And I literally was like, crying, but I had it on video, and I just thought, man, this is it. I didn't have that when I was a kid. And so then they were all the kids, beauty alert, and I was just like, yes.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
That's so beautiful, especially these days with phones and technology. How often
I
are we
know.
actually looking around in nature for the beautiful things?
I was really, really excited. I was really lit up and excited. And then watching them with these, a lot of the people had Alzheimer's, and just seeing the joy it brought. And it was a day of pure beauty. And there's another way to get out of our head. It's a bad neighborhood. So that took me out of my head. It didn't take long before I came back, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to, but if we can find ways to stay out of the head, in the heart, in the body.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, of course we need our brains. I'm not saying like we don't even need the brain, but we don't need to be living up here as much.
No.
Exactly.
I love that so much.
So you've talked about your book, Proof of Life, that is out. It will be out when this releases. Can you tell us about what the reader, what journey you're going to take the reader on, and what all of the amazing goodness that you have in store for the reader in Proof of Life?
Well, I believe the journey I hope I take them on is the journey back to themselves, either to the you that you've abandoned, or perhaps parts of yourself that you've abandoned, or even like allowing ourselves to be lit up in life, or wildly alive. I think all the time about Mary Oliver's last line of when death comes, I don't want to simply end up having visited this world, or my beloved Wayne Dyer, don't die with your music still inside of you. And it can happen. We've all seen, people, it can happen to us. I spent years being asleep. And so it goes back to the thing about choosing you. Well, what lights me up? Well, I don't know. Great. Go out and discover. And this book is not an opportunity to beat yourself up, especially not. So what? You don't know what lights you up. Go discover it. So what? You don't know who you are. I call bullshit on that, right? Maybe you've forgotten, or maybe you get to say, so choose. And it's never too late. So one thing that I love, that the feedback I've gotten so far, and I hate the word feedback just because it always feels like nothing good's coming after that one. But the good feedback is, oh my God, Jen, it feels like you're just talking to me like a friend. And that's always what I want. So I'm really excited about that. And, I just did the audiobook, and I was like, I'm really proud. And I'm very clear that there's a lot of ways this can, a lot of things I offer. And because I don't take myself too seriously, and it's peppered with levity and like irreverence, I think it's not as tough a pill to swallow as a lot of things that are like, this is gonna quote unquote help you. So there's a gift in that. Also, in my first book, And On Being Human, I still talk a lot about the just a box, how I want us all to reject the just a box. And the just a box is, I'm just a mom, I'm just a wife, I'm just a teacher, I'm just a yoga, no one's just about anything. No one's just And what I love about this book is I thought I was going to be a poet, and then I wasn't. I dropped out of college. I stopped writing. I didn't think I got to write poems. And my poems are in this book. And I'm
I was
like,
going to say,
yeah,
you've got poet vibes. When I
dude,
first met you,
dude,
I'm
thanks.
poetry is my thing. Poetry is my
Poetry is
thing.
my
I love to
religion.
read it. Yeah,
That's
you've
where
got
I find
poetry
God.
vibes.
I find God in community. I
Yeah.
don't know. Look, I don't know about the whole Judeo-Christian God. If that's your God, bless. Everyone, you get to do you. As far as me, all I know is where I find it is community,
Yep.
poetry, nature.
I'm so
And
happy
so,
we get your poetry
well,
in the
so the
book.
book has my poetry, and that for me is like, it is so deeply personal, but it feels like such a win because it is something I never thought I got to do.
Wow.
And so it's another, and drinking, I didn't think I could stop drinking. So it's again, constant reminders. Don't believe everything you think, which is another way that we don't kill the inner asshole. I used to think we could do, I used to think I did. And then I'm like, oh man, we just quiet it. And, you know, we can go, I hear you. I just don't need you today. Just go get a coffee. But like, I did it. My poems are in here. And like, it's
So
memoirish
exciting.
and there's stories. There's like exercises for the reader that are called allow, you know, because that verb is so powerful. What are you allowing in? What are you not? Um, and you know, it was going to be called You Get to Have This. And that was based on, after I bought my house, I was so happy. I lived in this tiny apartment, you know, like I literally felt like I was suffocating, three of us. And my son was 5 when I bought my house. And I had this hammock out back that like I've gone on once, but I was back there and I was so happy. I was, and then this voice was like, you don't get to be happy. And I literally went, I know, but I caught myself. And that's the thing about I caught myself and I was like, oh, hell no. And I came inside and sticky notes are my jam. I found a sticky note and I was like, I get to have this. And I stuck it on my office wall. I have an office. Never, right? And I started sticking them everywhere. I get to have this. And it wasn't about material good. It didn't mean my house. It meant happiness because I didn't believe I got to be happy. And so, again, the school of whatever works. If it's sticky notes all over, so be it. Whatever works to help remind you, to help you stay in alignment with who you say you are, who you want to be. And so I get to have this was, yeah, I do get to, my birthright isn't guilt. My birthright isn't stress. My birthright isn't feeling bad. None of ours is. Yeah, but no, yeah, but. Now, you get to have this can sound very privileged. Like, oh, well, yes, we all three of us are privileged by being white, right? Like,
Yep.
we never have to deal with bullshit of like being discriminated against because of our skin color. But nobody is inherently more worthy than anyone else. I'm getting all fired up.
No,
And I
it's
just in my bones didn't believe it. I was like, no, I am bad. That was my baseline. And so I get to have this. And so the book was going to be called that. But it's still a big part of it is like, whatever you've been denying yourself, you do get to have. Now, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have it because life is life. But
yep.
by virtue of you being you, you do get to have joy. Whatever your inner asshole says you don't get to have. Ease, rest, reciprocity. And like, I truly hope this book is a reminder, and it's like I call it like a pocket workshop. It's like my workshop, but you curate your own by existing intimately with this, and
I love it.
and the poems in it, and it models doing whatever works because it models what it means for me to be human, which is messy. I found typos after I was like, of course I did. Thank God I'm open about that. But it models like there's no one way to be a person. Even though they tell us they are, you know, there's no timeline. Those are the imaginary time gods. They could suck it. They're not real.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the magic of you, there's no one else like it. And the magic of you is invisible. So the reason it's called Proof of Life is because so many of us, myself included, I remember after I sold the book, after about a year, I'd done nothing. I hadn't even started it. And I, not for the first time in my life, had this panic attack like, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? And again, my own answer came back to me like taunting me for memeing it to death, which is, I've done love. And I think a lot of us like, well, look what I have to show for myself. Look how many followers I have. Look. And it's all about, proof that we're worthy. We are our own proof of life. Period.
I love that so much.
Yep.
That is so powerful.
Thank you.
Always a good acceptance speech of proof of life.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read it. Honestly, I want it
so
right
excited.
now.
I know.
Well,
Me
I
too.
thought they sent you one. I did send
I want it right now.
You have it. You can start it. You should have a galley,
Do you have it?
No.
We'll
Oh,
find it.
I don't have
it.
it. No, I don't have it. I want it right now, Jen. I
I'm
want it right now. I'm being a little baby. I'm being a little bratty baby. I want it right now.
wait, but you should have it. So I'm gonna look because I know my team sent you. I swear they did, but 125. I wanted to read a poem, and I was like, which one should I
Oh,
read?
please.
Which
Please.
one should I read? And so I think I'm gonna read one called Shame because you mentioned eating disorder. Because we're talking about the things like being worthy, what have you. So this poem is called Shame.
Being authentic.
For years, every morning, I licked my fingers to see if I'd eaten in my sleep. Crumbs on the tongue meant muffins. For years, every morning, I licked my fingers to see if I dug through the trash to shove them in my mouth like a prisoner withheld food. I was desperate for sustenance, then counted the ways I hated myself for feeding. Who gets to stop being hungry? For years, every morning, I licked my fingers to see if I deserved to be a person. All that chocolate under nails, blackberry seeds in teeth, while my customers took careless bites of turkey meatloaf and bodies that stayed, that knew how to behave. Forks and fingers free from old peanut butter, knives when they needed to make an important point. What a thing that must be, to know who you were without being told. How I wished for that fork-waving assurance. For years every morning I licked my fingers to see something, anything. Old habits die hard and I'd lick, expecting to taste disappointment from what I'd done in the dark. Oh, what I've done in the dark. For years every morning the things we did. How shame told us to be good. How the dark allowed us to be bad.
Wow.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jen.
Shame. And they actually cut it from the book, but there was a whole part where I was like, what were your things you did in the dark? And I admitted a lot of mine, and it wasn't for shock value. It was more because if they really knew me, they wouldn't like me. And that's a thing I think a lot of us carry. And I've always, my mantra being, I am bad, and I believe that. I used to not this is true. I would never let you look me in the eye. I was like, people, you'd be like, what is her deal? Because I was so afraid. You would look in my eyes, you would see I was a bad person. It's so sad when I think about it now. But, all these things, it's like, oh, if people knew, they wouldn't like me. And so I talked about them, but there just wasn't room. And the idea isn't to go around, sharing everything. It's just that, all the things we hide. And again, it's like, I can be with, when my dad said you're being bad, and also I wasn't, but he wasn't saying you are bad, but that's how I heard it. And so it's like, oh, I'm bad. Yeah, maybe I did a shitty thing once or twice. We all have, right? But that doesn't make us a shit person.
Right.
So true.
No, it's not who we are.
No, and also so much in that, the thing about how shame told us to be good, all the ways we try to be good. Oh, if I can only be smaller, if I could take up less space, if I could be a good girl, all the messaging we get. And then, so we go to the dark, and so essentially it's a journey also to finding light. And that's not to sound corny, but really light and softness with ourselves, which in turn then makes us soft with others.
I love that so much.
I
And I'm
think,
so
Jen,
excited.
yeah, your book is made for these times.
I
That's one of
believe
my
it is.
favorite things.
Your lips to God or goddesses or my dead father's ears, Barb.
I
Whoever.
Well, it's one of
agree.
the things I say often in our work, in my work and the work that Michelle and I do is that, the work that we're doing, any kind of work that's being done to help us accept, love, and trust ourselves completely and be able to be kinder, more loving, more accepting of ourselves is made for these times right now because we desperately need that ability to,
I couldn't agree more. I mean,
we have to have it. It's, the things are hard right now. And I think, life is hard, but I also think that life can also be with ease. You were talking about we can live a life with some ease. We can live a life with gratitude and seeing, as you talk about so often, Michelle, the tiny joys in
100%.
life. And yeah, so
We
it's
can hold.
really, you're going to help us do that. I think the book is going to help us see like there
I
is
hope
both,
so.
but can we lean more toward the light in who we are and become a
I
little bit
hope so.
more accepting?
And I wrote it for me too. I
Yeah.
still forget. And
Oh,
like,
of course. Of
I taught
course.
my son very early we can hold more than one thing. And I really wish I had been taught a lot of this stuff, but it's for me as well. Like constant reminders, we're human. I forget. That's the great, paradox of being human. And we can know a thing until the cows come home. Do you think I didn't know about my drinking? It wasn't like suddenly I realized. I always knew. I just didn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So reminders and what helps us remember. And
The
and
may I remember,
may I
the
remember.
prayer.
And what I love about I call them our I got you people, which we are for each other.
Hmm.
And I mean that. And I got you people, we remind each other who we are when we forget. And lovingly, keyword lovingly shake your shoulders like Barb. You know, your worth isn't tied to your productivity. I'm not even saying that's your jam, but
Well, it is.
okay, I'm a
No, not.
a little, right? And it's a loving thing. It's not just any Joe Schmo. It's a loving thing. Like, you know what? That's a bullshit story. Let me take that for you. And I'm not going to put it in me and hold it. I'm just going to hold it for a bit and then let it go. But when the people who see us as we really are and they lovingly remind us, it's so helpful.
It
Not
really
that we
is.
solely rely on that, but it is so wonderful to have that.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you, Jen. Thanks for
So
being
tell
you.
everyone where they can find you, where they can
Oh, my
see all
address.
of your
My address,
magic.
Michelle.
Yes, give them your personal home address.
We're going to show up
Anyone
at your
Where
front door.
find me in my pajamas and making art. I paint on me all the time. You can find me my Substack, which I'm going to write one today, Proof of Life. So I'm either real
amazing.
smart with SEO or real lazy because it's like
I love it.
but my book Proof of Life wherever books are sold. And actually I decided something. I haven't even announced it yet, so I'm going to announce it right here.
Mm.
I did a contest where you had to buy 5 books from a local indie bookstore, and I gave away a spot to my retreat in Ojai. And it felt so good because I sold a bunch of books for the indie bookstore, and like in this day and age, right?
Yeah.
And I also, and I was like, So I'm giving away a spot to my Italy retreat, I decided, which is a lot more money.
Ooh.
It's like $4,200. So it's 10 books, which is like $300. So it's an investment, but it's just win-win. Now, obviously, this is not for someone who's struggling to keep the lights on, but it's win-win because one, you're supporting me, you're supporting a bookstore. You might win a retreat, but even if you don't, you're part of something. And when, not if, when this book goes to the top, you're part of something. And we get to see, I call it the I got you effect. When we get to see how it works and that it works, it's a reminder. And then we believe in it more. And we're like, well, I get to have that too. But the I got you
Absolutely.
effect, I mean, anything's possible. You think, oh, you just get on the New York Times bestseller list because you're famous or because you hired that fancy publicist. Watch what's possible with love. Watch what's possible with the I got you effect. And so it's an investment, but it's an investment in love, and like knowing, and again, it's only for someone who can afford it. I'm not talking about someone who's living on unemployment or like struggling to feed their children. But so I'm going to do that, but it has to be from an indie bookstore,
I
not
love it.
not from, they don't need sales. They're doing just fine. And
It's so
so
important the indie bookstore
I'm
part.
launching it today, 2 weeks, and I'm picking a spot, and that's a lot. That's out of pocket, and but it brings me great joy, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm doing it, and I believe in this, and so proof of life, and I have book tour coming up. So my Instagram is Jen Pastiloff.
Perfect.
JenniferPastiloff.com. Basically my name. You throw a rock, you'll find me.
Find me.
But pre-order, I don't know when you're releasing this, but pre-orders matter. Michelle, I was talking to Michelle about that with
Yes.
her forthcoming book. And if you're not an author or in publishing, you don't know that. And people say, yeah, I'll pre-order. And they, it's not even malicious. They just don't. They matter more than anything because they tell the publisher how many books to publish. It's what determines if your book will be in a bookstore. It's what determines everything. And so
Yep.
please pre-order this, please, if you can. And if you can't, order from the library or talk about it, even energetically. And I believe so much in the message, which is you are your own proof of life. There is nothing you have to show for. There is nothing you have to prove.
Amazing.
I love it.
Thank you. What an honor. What a joy.
Thank you, Jen.
You are what I'd always, my mom and I, well, we bicker, and my mom and I would it would be funny. It would be funny. Like when we travel, I'm like, we're like Dumb and Dumber. We need a traveling show. It would be comedy.
I love it. You're amazing. Thank you, Jen.